One life, one love, one hope. One life, one love, one hope. One life, one love, one hope.
Good night, everybody, and welcome to another live Facebook discussion hosted by the HIV Education Committee of the Barbados Government Information Service. I'm your moderator for the evening, Sharifa Medford. And tonight's topic, just like all the other nights, we're going to have you on your toes. Get your comments and your questions ready. Put them in that comments bar, and let's get this conversation going. Tonight's topic, something for something. What really in it for me? Think about it. And tonight we have a panel here that is all ready to discuss this topic to its best, to its entirety. We have Alexis, nurse. Alexis is no stranger to the Barbados Government Information Service. She works with the HIV, she's an HIV specialist. We have Layne. Corey is a Live Up hero, also no stranger to TV. We all see him informing and educating us on HIV. We have Stephanie Chase, again, no stranger to the Government Information Service and our live discussions. Stephanie is an educator, blogger, social activist. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for having us. Thank you so much for coming and joining us tonight. Now, the topic, as I said, is no new topic to us here in Barbados, to probably us in the region or internationally. Transactional sex is what it's really about. And we need to find out more about, the risks of it and what it really is about and the difference between that and prostitution. Alexis, is there really a difference between transactional sex and prostitution?
I think culturally there is. I think Barbadians are more receptive to the idea of transactional sex than they would be towards prostitution. So I think in terms of our culture, I think there's definitely a difference. However, the risks are pretty much the same because it means that people are having sex with more than one partner, which carries a greater risk for HIV and STI transmission.
Okay, Corey, your idea, your thoughts?
Well, for me, it is different. I think that transactional sex, if we had to break it down into two, there are people who go in it for something, so something for something. And there's also the transactional sex where you may just see someone, like them, and the transaction that you actually want is the sex itself. Whereas for me, prostitution is about actually putting a price on each thing. So there's a price for haze, there's a price for penetration, there's the price, you understand? So, but in transactional sex, there's not that complicated thing. You understand? You pay a bill and you gotta lay down. You understand what I mean? So the difference for me is putting the value on the actual activity.
Stephanie, your thoughts?
A transaction is a transaction. You either pay for something or you give something in return for something. For some women, having transactional sex is equated, you don't want to say that there's a taboo attached to it, but they would rather the transactional sex as opposed to labeling it as prostitution. And I agree with Alexis, it's very cultural because Caribbean mothers tend to socialize their children by saying, find a man who can. When you find a man who can, it means you have to give something in return. So we're starting that transaction from very, very, very young. And I think that is something that we really have to look at seriously.
Do you think it's only mothers telling daughters, find a man who can transactional sex be the other way around? Men having sex with women and expecting women to pay a bill, buy a shirt?
Oh yeah, the ratio of men to women, there are really more women than we do have men. So a man can get away with having one or two, maybe three or four, and each woman has a particular role in his life. But a man will tell you, what, I want a woman who can do for me too. I ain't just about spending my money on a woman for spending money's sake,
I want to hear the man's view on this.
I think culturally it is changing and shifting, but it has not shifted to the majority. There are men out there that would say and be very proud, even from a very young age, that my girl said is to stop up my phone. You understand? But for the most part, it is really women. And I mean, to give credit to the feminists, the whole idea is that a lot of women are now being taught to go there and do for their own. But before, culturally, as both of the guests said, they were taught to go and get a man that good for something. Don't get a good for nothing. You understand? A good for, what does a good for nothing mean? That they can't give you anything. So get a good for something. And what is that something?
Materialistic gain.
But at which point do we decide that this is a transactional sexual encounter? Because I'm not thinking that that's how it starts out.
No, I don't think people kind of start it in that way. I think they, you know, they might like each other or whatever. And I think the slight difference with transactional sex is that there is some kind of a relationship, whereas with prostitution, there is a business relationship,
Correct.
which is, so, you know, so you can get into this whole thing about, yeah, I really love the person and I like them, and, you know, the sex and the hairdos or whatever is all part of the relationship, as opposed to it being really about, well, you know, you like me and I like you, and I like clothes and I like nice things, and I want a bill paid and I want rent paid or whatever, so I will tell you, you know, pay the bill and you get the
So
thing.
what happens then when, you know, the man can't live up to that? The man loses his job, he work in construction, the construction site shut down, he can't do that
You lose the
anymore.
relationship too.
That's
sometimes.
right,
You
yeah,
lose
that's
it
right.
because
Yes.
you're not really fulfilling what is.
Yeah.
I think all of these things fall on a spectrum, right?
Yes.
Because there are transactional sexual relationships where it is understood that unless
You
you
provide
provide
X,
X, you will not
that's
get
right,
Y.
that's
It is really
right.
that simple.
It's very upfront.
Some of them on the other side of the spectrum may have the relationship thing going to some extent, but some it is understood, even if it's not spoken, it is
Yes.
understood. No Y, F, no X. Full
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah,
We have somebody
that's true.
saying that they know of a mother that would have encouraged her daughters to be involved with an older man so
Yes.
that the house bills could
Yes.
be
Yeah,
paid.
It's
that's
true.
right, that's
and,
right.
and I would boldly say that that mother prostituted out the children, because if they are minors and they have no say, you know, no say in the matter, what are you teaching your girl children? That you can give of your body, and your body is a holistic temple. You're supposed to teach your children to value their bodies and stuff like that, that you can exchange it just to get a light bill or water bill pay or a food bill. They-
And the mothers out there that do it listening to her right now on the streets in the mouth. So you can
Yeah,
talk.
let them shoot.
You
But
can
the bills
talk.
still got to pay.
Bills got to pay.
Yeah, let them
Meat
shoot.
got to fill.
Yeah.
You can talk because
Yes.
you got food in your
Yes.
face. And I come across, I agree with you, Stephanie, but I tell you that's how they
Yeah,
think. And I come
it's
across
true.
them because when you talking to them, whether it's a counseling or whatever, they say, Corey, when I could talk, but when I
Yeah,
don't understand
yeah,
it, you only got
yeah.
onions and water in the fridge. And I any day when I could run when I'm all when I want, but something got put down in here, don't understand that at the end of the day, the long-term effects.
the
And
long-term
what we get
effects,
to
the
that.
psychological effects, and we see it in the educational system, in the school children. When these children come to us in the school system, battered emotionally, damaged, they're damaged, and very often or not, you say, oh, man, time will heal, or you can get over that and stuff like that. But some parents have no idea what they put their children through.
Are these persons from the more vulnerable parts of our society that would be
Again,
involved
the
in
You
that?
may be
spectrum,
surprised,
the more
you know,
it-
Sharifa.
But it goes all
Yeah,
across
yeah,
the board.
yeah,
But the
you may be
majority will be
surprised.
those.
Yeah.
That is my.
I
my
think
take.
though there's also the idea that, you know, transactional sex can help you as a woman better your position in
Yes.
life. So it does cross the spectrum. So
Yes.
it's not just about,
No.
you know, one
Different
set of
form.
people.
No.
Because, yeah, you know, you can get social mobility
That's right.
through the kind of relationship that you have with the type of person that
Move
you
up
have
the
it
corporate
with.
ladder is
So
a
you
transaction.
there are all of those kinds of the transactions that are actually going on. I mean, we have, you know, transactional relationships in marriages. You have transactional where you want new
true.
fridge and thinking,
That's right.
sweeten up the man a
Yes.
little bit more.
Yes.
It's Christmas now,
Yes.
extra
Uh-huh.
nice.
Yes.
Or shut down.
Or shut down, yes.
Until
That's
it is
right.
ready. You understand?
And we ain't opening those
Yes,
doors
correct,
until,
correct.
yes, it's
Right?
true.
So
Something for something.
all of
Yeah.
these things are going on, and we might be laughing about
reality.
this, but
It's a
this is the
reality.
reality of what goes on in Barbados.
Yeah.
And I remember distinctly coming here and coming from a different culture and seeing this very, very starkly. It was shocking to me at first. I could not believe that women were expected. You know, you couldn't go Dutch, or you wouldn't pay for yourself at the cinema, or you wouldn't say, well, you buy the tickets and I'll buy the food or
Yeah.
whatever. People were like, Alexis, where you come from? You know, that kind of thing. Because I was like, So it's
Yeah,
very
totally
different.
It's funny you should mention Christmas because this is definitely a conversation that we know comes up in
Will
songs.
happen, yes.
Matt had their song
Yeah.
about it. and we have this conversation year after year, and especially around Valentine's even when the men say,
Yes.
you know, you can definitely get a
Yes.
girlfriend now because they're going to want this and want that.
Yes.
Is it that the other person is not getting smarter because, or is that they have the money to spare?
No, I think it is a symbiotic relationship, you know,
Yes.
because they're spending the money, but in turn they're getting what they want. So
Yes.
it's not about being smarter; it's about both parties being satisfied at the end of the arrangement.
Yeah.
You get where it comes from. The thought today in the barbershop was that, you know, men is getting a haircut for $15, but women gotta pay $120, $140, and the rest of the people in there was that women could get that in 5 minutes. You understand? Not even by sex, but just by the thought of they may blow a kiss at Rashid. No, Rashid gone head over heels. He wallet open, money fly out. You get where it coming from? So it is at the end of the day, he's satisfied with the kiss being just blown at him, and he's spending money. So it's not about what both of them get what they want at the end of the day.
Yes.
But I'm thinking, okay, you mentioned some figures, 120, 140. How can you really put a price though on what you're working with? Like, how do we as women?
Because it boils down to what the person wants.
It's what you want.
It's what they want at
Yeah.
the particular time.
Demand and supply.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because it
Demand
doesn't
and
have to
supply.
be. It doesn't have to be a hairdo. It could be a top up on the phone.
Hello.
Spectrum.
It could be an airline ticket.
Right.
You
It
know,
could be a car.
a shopping
You
spree down
understand?
the
It is a
road.
spectrum.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
a spectrum.
Yeah.
It is a
And there
different
are
things.
women who will go out of their way to find where a particular man may line or work, you know, happen a chance and meet upon him to facilitate that transaction. Get to know him for a little bit, but you know in your mind, this man can provide what I want.
Correct.
And what I want is X.
Right.
Even if I have to give him Y.
Right. And I think, but the other dimension to this is when we're trying to link it back now to vulnerability, is the issue of, you know, if you're in a transactional relationship with somebody who has the money, which may come with the power, may come with the money.
Correct.
They may have age on you because you may be younger than
Yes.
them, and you can't negotiate. So you can't negotiate now in this transactional relationship. And remember, within this transactional relationship, we also have this thing about feelings and some kind of relationship. So if I'm in a relationship with somebody, how do I negotiate? Well, the condom use, or we can't do this particular thing, or you can't have another partner, or what. All of those things now just make you vulnerable.
Because the person who has the money is the person who has the power, and the person who has the power sets the terms and conditions.
Well, this open a whole another kettle of fish now, because now we gotta talk about the risks that are involved, the STIs and possible HIV
That's
and
right.
whatever.
Yes.
So basically, we're thinking in that transactional sex then can lead to these.
Absolutely.
More so in my opinion than prostitution. Because the
Absolutely.
prostitutes will tell you, here,
I
this
work
is a condom,
for them.
you're gonna
Well,
use
what
it.
is
This is exactly
These
this
are
is
tools of
business.
my business.
I'm protecting myself. You
Yeah.
understand? So you will either use this or you will hit the door, or it depends, because some
Extra
people
money and
for extra
whatever.
money and
Yeah,
say,
yeah,
well,
yeah.
I want to ride bareback or whatever, and the person may say okay, but that is their call, you know. But in a transactional agreement,
and that is definitely something that makes the partners vulnerable.
yes,
We know that HIV is transmitted for the most part in the first 2 weeks of contracting the virus. So if you're in a transactional relationship with someone who is in a relationship with other people or whatever, and they contract the virus, within that first 2 weeks is when you're most vulnerable. And that's when you are most infectious as well. So if you're having unprotected sex with someone,
multiple
then
partners too.
everybody in the little chain and that little link
Is at risk.
are going to get infected.
So how do Corey? How do we reach these people to make them aware of the danger that they're basically in?
I
'Cause
think what
we can't
has
stop
worked,
them.
no, what has worked for me for years in terms of behavior change really is not just telling them. They have to understand the consequences, right? And understand it in a meaningful way. And for me, and this is the way I've done it, and the only way I know how to be successful really in doing it in a way that it reaches their core in terms of them feeling better about themselves. We can go with all the graphic pictures, we can go with all, and that has a shock effect which lasts a short period of time. But I think it starts with self, because you have to value self. to me, the HIV and all of that, as I call it all the time, that is the fruit of the tree. What is the root of the tree? So you got to work backwards, self-esteem, all these different things, parenting, all these things that come down to the root in terms of how do they feel about themselves. And that is one of the most powerful things that I have found to be successful over the years, bar none. I mean, there's a lot of strategies to get to that, but to me, that is where you want to get to at the end of the day.
Stephanie, well, you're with the younger population, so I think that you may have some kind of input from way down there in helping build the self-esteem in some of these young girls.
Self-esteem is very, very important, especially for boys and girls who are going through adolescence. And you know, at the end of the day, a teacher may have a positive impact, but I always say the first impact is always in the home. So if what we teach at school or what we say at school is not reinforced at home, when they come back to us, we have to start all over, you know, all over again. But we do try our best finding identity. And at that age, sometimes it's very, very difficult to determine who you want to be or how you see yourself at that point in time. So I always try to tell them, I give them my life stories. I tell them stuff that happened to me. And I always say, you know, you don't always remain small. Every single person that you may encounter has a different story, but it's how you get over your challenges, you know? So I try to be as positive as I can.
We have somebody here saying they're playing devil's advocate. If a woman is willing to give herself to a man, why shouldn't she get something in return? Don't people enter relationships or arrangements to benefit themselves?
But if she entered the relationship, if she is willing to give herself, because that person, for me, I'm focusing on the willing to give. If you're willing to give yourself, has the person determined that they want something in return? Why should it be up to the man to give something? So you're giving yourself so freely. You didn't establish any, you know, are we in a relationship? Are we going steady? Are we in an open relationship? Am I your main squeeze, your girlfriend? Are you gonna, you know, or am I a side chick, you whatever? You know, are you gonna introduce me to your parents? That determines a lot.
And they got to do with the value system.
Yeah, the value
That's
system.
right. And I think the transactional sex thing kind of says that women give their bodies and men give money.
Yeah.
And I think that's how it has been seen or whatever. And I don't know that. Well, although that is, as Corey was saying earlier on, I think that's changing, and that there are younger men now who are looking to older women who have more disposable income.
Yes.
So we don't have this thing now about just girls being vulnerable
Both
in
sexes.
terms of that. No, the boys are vulnerable too, because, you know, older women have the more disposable income. They got the house, they got the car, they got everything else, and they can support a man.
The only thing that men got is the man. So
so you support it, and then you can control him.
And it's happening. The other thing too, don't you talk about both sexes? I saw a point on there too as well, in terms of the young boys' transactional sex with even men, the homosexuality coming in and the danger of it. And I can remember as far back as 19 years ago, before I started my organization, one of the things that prompted me to start that youth commission at the time, he took me into a park in Bridgetown, and he said to me, you know, to get Timberlands or to get whatever kind of shoe was big at that time, Fubu and all these things, that people were willing to do things. That is still the story today. A lot of these people, you see them fronting and so on, they may not got the money, but to get the watch, to get the Jordans, they would do whatever they have, and that is kind of transaction. That is transactional sex within itself, and that comes with its own dangers, again, physically, in terms of emotionally, and also in relation to STIs and HIV.
I want to mention something based on what Corey just said, and I have no problem with grown adults who make their own decisions participating in transactional sex or even paying prostitutes for their sexual desires or whatever. What I have a serious problem with is grown adults preying on minors, preying on the young boys, preying on the young girls. It is wrong. It is wrong. And I think that they need to be brought before the courts of law for it.
The difficulty with that, though, is the shame that comes with it, and and within our culture, how we keep these things silent. Because we may talk about this and think that this is in
talk
isolation,
about the wrong
right?
things.
But it is out there, and it is out there en masse.
Yeah, we
you
focus
understand?
on the wrong
So
things.
and we don't like to talk about it.
Yeah.
The carpet is lumpy.
Yeah.
We swept it under the carpet for years. And we can see the effects of it now, because a lot of people who we find as perpetrators, when you dig deep, you go into emotional intelligence, you go into that 5 ways, you start to peel back the onion layers. it happened to
It
them.
happened to them.
It
Yep.
happened to them. That's usually the root cause
Yes.
of why this is now manifesting
Yeah.
itself now as a fruit. But
repeating,
we
it's a
don't like
cycle.
to talk about
Right,
it.
because it's been a culture,
Yeah.
because it has been culture for so long. I think Barbadian society is built on the notion that, you know, a man is going to like a woman, and as soon as he tells you he likes you, then you start asking for stuff,
For favors.
for stuff. And it was, you know, when I first came here, it was the, you know, the jeans, that there were specific kind of jeans that were selling and whatever. So there are a lot of different things like that that are part of, you know, how we are raised and how we are raising our children. And that's one of the fundamental things that we have to stop.
Yeah.
Is that we
As
have
you
to
stress on the culture, right? It makes me wonder, do these women even need it sometimes, or it's just because that's what our culture
That's,
dictates?
correct.
I
that?
think that's partly it.
So we
too.
Partly.
just
Yes.
ask.
Everybody wants to be a part of
Right.
what.
Again,
Because
I
women
gotta
are
go back to
supporting
my
themselves.
spectrum though,
Yeah.
because there are people who live in genuine poverty that will need.
Yes.
Yes.
You understand that need
Yes.
that bottle of gas or whatever.
Agreed.
So
Right.
they, again, we always gotta
Yes.
remember the spectrum
Yes.
and all the different
Yes.
types of people that we speaking about and speaking to.
But there are people who are working using transactional sex for social
For
mobility,
social
Correct,
mobility,
correct.
as
yes.
The other
opposed
side.
to absolute poverty.
Social
Poverty.
And then
acceptance more
poverty
so too.
is relative, because if I am not in absolute poverty, but when I look around my surroundings and I see everybody got the smart
I
TV
will
and they
want
got the
them
this
too.
and the whatever, what's wrong with me that I
Yes.
cannot get one? And
Correct.
we're talking about
Yes.
self-esteem.
Yes.
Correct.
And my
Correct.
self-esteem
Exactly.
might
Bang,
be caught
bang.
up in
Yeah.
the fact that
Yeah.
I want to have a TV and I want to have this and I want to live in an
Yeah.
apartment as opposed to a little wooden house or whatever it is. And to
Yeah.
get that, I gotta get 3 men, because one gotta pay for the TV, one gotta pay the rent, and the other one
that
gotta...
is reality.
That is
Right?
But to me,
And
that
that's-
is also bordering prostitution. I understand that you say prostitution is a business arrangement from upfront, but what if I have in my mind that this is a business arrangement?
Remember that all of these is just fancy words and labels
it's
that
a
we try to put
borderline.
everything. There's a borderline,
very
right?
thin
A
line.
very
And the
thin line.
transactional sex just carries a level of pretense with it.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
The,
Makes
the,
it-
the
yes.
prostitution is upfront,
Acceptable.
and
Yes.
then a lot less
Yes.
stress for the
Yes.
buyer. You understand?
Yes.
I don't got to return your calls.
Yes.
Or just give me what you want. Bam, bam. Thank
That's
you,
it.
ma'am, or thank you, sir, and gone.
Gone,
It just
yes.
removes the pretense. That's just the difference between the words.
And
you
you know, and
There's
the
a
reality is
certain pretense behind
The
it.
Barbadian
you know?
perception of a prostitute is you go to Crompton Street or you
correct,
go to
correct.
Bush
Bush
Hill.
Hill.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
But people would be surprised, the prostitutes that work in financial organizations or who have stushy jobs, they
Yeah.
would be surprised.
Yeah.
They really would be.
Do you think that a lot of young people, though, even older people, are even seeing this as a problem, or have we really accepted this as
I-
the norm?
I think it
it's
has been
culture.
accepted.
I think it's culture, and I think it's a
Yes.
norm.
It's a norm.
I
Yes.
think
It's a
that's
norm.
how we
Culture.
accept it to
Acceptable.
be. I think that's just how
It-
it's
it
supposed
is.
to be.
It is the thing.
You know,
It is.
you see
Yeah.
you see the young girls going out. You're going to the cinema. You're going to watch a movie. It's going to be in the dark, but I have to have a hairdo. I
Yes.
have to have nails.
Yes.
I have to have a new outfit and whatever. And who's paying for that? The man. So at the end of the night, when he tell me, "Well, Alexis, I want the something for the something," and I, you know, what am I going to say? Am I going to say no? Because next week, no, I won't go to the next fete or the next
Right.
whatever.
Next
You know,
whatever.
something-
Yeah.
Yep.
So I have to say yes.
Somebody here actually said penis and vagina have value too.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
But it goes back to self-worth. You ask the question, how can people put a value? And it has, if you see yourself as a queen, a king, an empress, emperor, you understand, of worth, I am gold, I am platinum. It is very difficult then for you to sell yourself.
That's right.
And even if you sell yourself, you got to sell yourself for the
Yeah,
car then,
then
as
you
opposed
have
to
to
the
the
top
top,
up.
right.
You
Yeah,
understand?
yeah,
What has to
yeah.
do then with self-value?
Yeah.
Because they do
Yeah.
have value, but you
Yeah.
yourself must have value.
Well, getting back to what Sharifa is talking about, instilling values and morals from the home setting. You know, we live in a very materialistic time and technological
individualistic too.
time, and everybody it's a me time. It's about me and wanting gratification, immediate gratification now, and not having to wait for it or work for it.
or
It's,
save
I
up for
want
it.
something now, and I'm going to do what I need to do to get it now. And when I get it now, I feel real good about myself. You're not thinking about tomorrow, next week, next month, or next year.
Or health.
Or,
Or
yeah, or what-
exactly.
Life or death.
They're not thinking long term. They're thinking short term. And we're not here to judge.
ain't about
Actually,
judgment.
we're not here to judge. We're actually here
To
trying
protect.
to protect
yourself,
To educate you.
to educate and to protect the young people. Because at the end of the day, I think that the young people are more at risk. They take so many risks without even thinking about the repercussions. And they have no idea the dangers that they place themselves in. So we can have a zillion and one campaigns. It can go through one ear and come to the next. They will see it and forget it, because at the end of the day, they want what they want.
Somebody actually says transactional sex is a small part of the wider problem we have in Barbadian society, where people always want something from someone, whether it's a partner or politician
And you know
or a
what?
rich friend.
We
Yes,
live in a
that's
society
right.
of
Absolutely.
entitlement.
Yes,
And I say
that's
that all
right.
the time.
Yeah,
Barbadians
true.
feel that they are entitled to have whatever they want, and often for free too.
I know.
I know.
Don't forget the I
Yes.
know.
Yes. So I don't know. And I often say maybe it was a curse when our ancestors got off the slave ship in Jamestown, because this was the first port, that they got off. But at the end of the day, I don't think that we can deculturalize ourselves, from things that have happened centuries, and we still feeling the repercussions, and we're living it every day, and it's not getting any better, it's just getting worse. Yeah.
Okay, so we're wrapping up now. So I want to get some final words from you guys, some advice to the younger and the older members of the population, because it's not only young people that are participating in transactional sex. Stephanie, you go first.
My message would be for the young people. You're not too young to know your worth or to place value on yourself. And your value is not supposed to be based on money or materialistic gain, but feel good about yourself. Try to envision what you want your future to be like. Work towards it. Get an education. Surround yourself with positive people who will help build you up and not tear you down. Find a good role model. Find someone to talk to if you have challenges, or if you have something that you need to discuss. But my final message to you would be, this is not an avenue that someone so young should have to go down.
Well, for me, really is to ask yourself that question: who am I? Do you love yourself? It's going 8 billion people on earth. I understand there's only one you. And you have to put value to that. Yes, you may watch television, you may look in magazines and so on. It may tell you, in order to be beautiful or handsome or muscular, you must look like this or that. No. Look at you and who you are. Love that nose, love that ears, love that head, because at the end of the day, once you love you, 90% of your work is done. You can set goals. You can, not only in relation to transactional sex, this goes for everything. Once you can love you, find a way to love you. There's only one you.
Yes. Alexis, your words.
Okay. Well, what I think I would say is that I think that, people have to recognize the risk or the vulnerabilities that transactional sex may place them in, and that they need to know how to mitigate some of those vulnerabilities. They may want to continue to engage in whatever they're doing with whomever they want to do it with, but I'm saying that at the end of the day, we need to be sure that, they're not contracting an STI, they're not contracting HIV, and they're not emotionally making themselves more vulnerable or damaged. So, recognize that, we might have an education, but we might not have a job or whatever. But at the end of the day, if you stand on your own 2 feet, when you are finished, you will know that you are the person that did what you did, and you can feel proud of yourself.
Thank you for joining us for another discussion, and stay tuned for our next discussion. Log on to the Love, Poetry and Sound HIV Education Committee Facebook page, and you'll find out when that is. I'm Sharifa Medford. Good night.
Just one more.